Over the years I've reviewed several Cooler Master AIO CPU coolers. They've all represented reasonably good value for money, but they've never really set the world alight when it comes to thermal performance. Cooler Master says it will be different this time around with the launch of its brand new Atmos AIO series, featuring a refined dual chamber pump, a brand new copper cold plate design and pre-installed sickle flow Edge 120 fans. But is Cooler Master right this time around? Let's find out. So this is the new Cooler Master Atmos AIO series. It's due to launch today, the 21st of September. Available currently in 240 and 360mm versions only, and it's only available in black at the moment. Hopefully Cooler Master will make a white version. Some of their other AIOs are available in white, so hopefully this will be too. As I say, it's available in 240 and 360mm versions. The 360mm, which is the one we have for review, price is just under $150 US and £169.99 in the UK. It features a new dual chamber pump design, which is completely designed and manufactured in-house by Cooler Master. It also has a highly customizable pump top cover, so you can swap the top cover out, you can remove the plastic from the top and swap it out for other 3D designs. You can either design your own kind of logo or whatever to go on there, or you can print off other 3D printable designs, and they are available from printables.com. The top cover is made completely from 100% recycled plastics. Packaging has been redesigned to be more eco-friendly, which reduces the Atmos carbon footprint. The Atmos is also Cooler Master's first product to fully utilize the Cooler Master MasterCTRL software. So on there you can control the RGB lighting, measure temperatures and look at performance. It's also equipped with Cooler Master sickle flow Edge 120 fans with Cooler Master loop dynamic bearings, factory tested to keep things cool and operate ultra quietly. As I say, the packaging has been completely redesigned to be more eco-friendly. Basically it just contains a lot less plastic and more cardboard. Not really interested in that, but I am interested in what's included with the cooler. So obviously in the box you get the cooler. It comes with the sickle flow Edge fans pre-installed. Apparently they are installed with the cables at this side when the tubing's on the left hand side to kind of promote or push the user into fitting the cooler into the case in the most optimal position. As well as the cooler inside the box, you get 3 other cardboard boxes. One of them is labeled AMD socket, so inside there you get the AMD brackets and AMD standoffs. There's also another box labeled Intel socket. Inside there you get the LJ 1200 standoffs, LJ 1700 standoffs, another bag with Intel upper mounting brackets, and then the Intel backplate. The third box, that's labeled accessory. So inside here there's several other bags. So there's the warranty information booklet. Inside a bag that also contains the mounting screws for the upper mounting brackets, thumb screws to attach the cooler to the motherboard. You get a 3-way fan splitter with the 360, with the 240 I'm sure you'll probably get a 2-way fan splitter. There's also a decent sized tube of thermal compound in there, which is a good thing. So if you need to reinstall the cooler, if you swap platforms or upgrade your CPU or for any reason, you've got some additional thermal compound in there. There's also some fan screws, so the short fan screws for mounting the radiator to your case, and there's also some clips, what looks like for the tubing. The user manual, which is a QR code. A lot of companies are moving to QR codes for user manuals rather than putting an actual hard copy in there. There's also an ARGB hub, and that's to connect up the ARGB lighting and connect it to the Cooler Master MasterCTRL software, but you can also control it by the motherboard software because it uses standard 3-pin 5-volt headers. Another bag there with some SATA power cables, those really useful clips that hold the ARGB cables together, and it looks like there's a USB cable in there and a splitter cable for the ARGB lighting. So you get all the usual stuff included with the cooler. The good thing with it is it uses standard 3-pin 5-volt headers for ARGB, and it uses standard 4-pin PWM headers for the connection to the fans and the pump as well, so it's all PWM controlled. So I'll just run you through some of the specifications and take a closer look at the cooler as we do it. Radiator is a pretty standard 27mm thick aluminium radiator. It's got that kind of textured finish to the paint or the powder coating. I do quite like the look of these. They show fingerprints up less than others that are like a satin finish. They tend to show up marks and stuff a lot more. This more kind of matte finish that you've got with these Cooler Master radiators that have this textured to them, they look really clean and they don't show up a lot of finger marks. Along the top of the radiator where the fan bracket is, you get this designed by Cooler Master logo. That again is the same on the bottom of the radiator there. The tubing at the radiator side is fixed, so that doesn't move at all. There's also what looks like a fill port there, but it has one of those warranty void stickers on. The tubing is covered by a braided sleeve. We used to say this was a premium feature, but virtually every AIO CPU cooler you see these days comes with that braided sleeve on. Some look better than others. This is quite a good quality, bit of a glossy sheen to it. Looks like decent quality. You'll notice as well the fans come pre-installed to the radiator. It saves time, I guess, for the user, and probably cuts down on packaging as well, because you tend to get the fans in little plastic bags. Because it's fitted to the radiator, there's no need for that. And these are the Cooler Master Sickle Flow Edge 120 fans. They have a speed range of 690 to 2,500 RPM. PWM control, so they have standard 4-pin PWM connections. Maximum airflow is 70.7 cubic feet per minute. Bearing is a Cooler Master Loop Dynamic bearing, and maximum air pressure is 3.61 millimeters H2O. So their high static pressure fans should be good for running on this radiator. And then if we take a closer look at the CPU block, so you notice the top is a opaque plastic cover. This is manufactured from 100% recycled plastic. This can be removed. It's a little bit awkward, but you can just pull it off. Also, this part as well can be removed, and this is the bit that can be kind of customized, and there's different 3D printable designs. It's not easy to remove actually. It's got a little tab up there, you get something under it. It's best to like lever it off, and then once it's off, you can see that is the part that can be swapped out for your own design. So you might want to customize this with your own logo or something like that. You can go on to printables.com, and there are 3D printable files, so you can download and 3D print something off and put it on there. You can make your own design as well. You can see at the pump side, the tubing is on these rotary 90-degree fittings. When you're trying to line this up and put it into position, it makes it a little bit easier. And then if you've got a certain route that you want the tubing to go, you'll find that these rotary fittings might help out when you're trying to position tubing. Both of the cables that come from the pump, so there is a 4-pin PWM fan connection and a 3-pin 5-volt ARGB connection. Both of those are also covered with a braided sleeving. Then at the bottom of the pump is the copper cold plate. It's got this label on it that says grease it, then remove. Not really a fan of that term grease it, because it's not technically grease that you're putting on there. It should be more paste it, then remove. Obviously this is designed so you get the correct amount of thermal paste on there. Put your paste on, your thermal paste, and then you remove that and it'll leave a pattern of thermal paste that should be the perfect amount. If you remove that, then you can see the copper cold plate. So this is a copper microchannel cold plate, apparently a new design on this Atmos cooler. So to be honest, I can't wait to get this on the test bench and see how it performs, because as I said at the beginning of the review, I've tested several Cooler Master coolers over the years, and they've been okay in terms of the thermal performance, but they've never really, you know, set the world alight, as I said earlier, in terms of the thermal performance. So I am hoping this time around Cooler Master has got things right and we get a bit more performance out of this compared to some of the previous Cooler Master AIOs. Just before I move on to the installation, just want to quickly take a look at the ARGB controller. So it's quite a compact unit. It's got 3 ports on it for the 3-pin 5-volt ARGB connections, so you can connect all the fans up to this. However, there are 3 fans and the pump that needs connecting, but there is a splitter cable. So I'm guessing you can connect everything up to the splitter cable, maybe put that in just one of the ports, and then use a couple of these ports for other 3-pin 5V compatible ARGB products. There's also a power connection there, which is a SATA power, and then a USB connection. So that's a micro USB, and it'll go to a USB header on the motherboard. You don't have to use this because they use standard 3-pin 5V ARGB connections. You could just connect the cooler up to your motherboard header and control it with the motherboard software. But I believe this is fully compatible with the Cooler Master MasterCTRL software, so you can use that to control RGB lighting, and you can also monitor thermals and system performance on there. So because the cooler comes with the fans all pre-installed, that'll save you a bit of time. You shouldn't have to mess about changing the fans unless you find that you've got your radiator orientated in your case or fitted in your case in a certain position and these cables are on show. If that's the case, all you need to do is turn the fans around and put them to the back so you can't see them. The first thing you need to do is choose the correct upper mounting bracket. So these are the AMD mounting brackets. Our test system is an AM5 platform, and you just attach these to the base of the cooler with 4 little screws that are included in the pack. You will need to remove the stock AMD with those like clippy things that you can clip the cooler on with, and you'll have to take the AM4 standoffs. So that's the bag with the AM4 standoffs, and you just simply screw these into position on the stock AMD backplate. Once the standoffs are in place, you need to use some thermal compound. You can use that template on the bottom of the cooler, but to keep all our testing fair, I have the same kind of method, and I also use the Arctic MX6 thermal compound. So just apply your thermal compound whichever way you want to do it. With the thermal compound in place, just have to pop the CPU block over the CPU, locate it on the 4 standoffs, and then use these thumb screws to hold it in position. You want to tighten up the thumb screws kind of from corner to corner in an X-shaped pattern. Tighten them up first by hand, and then you can just nip them up for final tightening with a screwdriver. So if you find somewhere to mount the radiator in your case, that's more or less the hardware part of the installation. For the electrics, you just need to connect your 3 fans or 2 fans depending on which size radiator you've got to the splitter, and then connect the other end of the splitter cable to the CPU fan header, which is the grey one on this motherboard. And it's up to you how you connect the ARGB lighting. Cooler Master includes this splitter cable with the cooler, and there's actually 5 headers on there, so you can connect the 3 fans and the pump plus something else to this cable. You can either connect it up directly to the motherboard header, which is the 3-pin 5V header on this motherboard, or you can use the controller and connect it up to one of the ports on there. If you just connect it up to port number 1, then you've got another 2 ports there available to connect additional ARGB products. You also need to connect the USB cable to the controller and also the SATA power, and then connect up your SATA power to your power supply, and the USB header connection just needs to go to USB header on the motherboard. Just one other thing that I almost forgot to mention about the installation: the fans can actually be daisy chained to each other. So the ARGB can be daisy chained, not the PWM. You can see each fan has a female and male ARGB 3-pin 5V connection. So you can daisy chain all the fans to each other and then connect them either directly to the controller or to the splitter, or you could even connect them directly to the motherboard. So that's the cooler installed. It's very easy, very straightforward installation process. It makes it slightly easier having the fans pre-installed. I'd say installing it on this bench probably only took me about 5 minutes, 10 minutes maximum. Installing it in your case is going to take a little longer because you're going to have to route the cables and tidy the cables up if you're into your cable management, but I shouldn't see it taking somebody longer than say 15-20 minutes to install. If you've got experience of installing AIOs, you should find it really simple and straightforward. System's powered on. RGB lighting effects look pretty good. Initial thoughts are it's quite a nice looking cooler. The RGB lighting is really well diffused on the fans. There's no major LED hotspots that are jumping out at me. And this top cover looks pretty subtle. Nice RGB lighting, well diffused. Pretty nice looking cooler in terms of aesthetics. Let's get down to some testing. So as usual, we use the same testing process as we do with all AIO CPU coolers, which uses a Cinebench R23 stress test. If you want to see the full testing methodology, make sure you head over to kitguru.net. There's a full written review over there to complement this video. We'll start by looking at noise levels, as this will give us a better understanding of the cooler's performance based on noise output. With the fans running at their maximum speed of 2,300 RPM, the Atmos noise level is measured at 51 decibels, which is comparable to other coolers running similar fan speeds. However, 51 decibels might be a touch loud for some users, so tuning fan speed may be beneficial. In the manual OC test with fans still running at maximum RPM, the brute force performance of the Atmos is exceptional. It is right up there with the best coolers we have tested and trading blows with the current cooling king, the EK Nucleus. To tune the fans down to 40 decibel operation, the speed had to be reduced to just under 1600 RPM, which brought the Atmos even closer to the EK Nucleus performance. And if you look down the chart where the previous Cooler Master PL360 Flux is, you can see a huge improvement in thermal performance for the Atmos compared to the older model, which is even more impressive. The important metric in the PBO test is the CPU clock multiplier. The Atmos was able to hold on to an average 51.4 times CPU clock multiplier while cooling 202 watts of package power with an average 68 degrees C delta temperature, which means again it is sitting pretty in second place and giving similar CPU performance as the EK Nucleus in first place, which is an excellent all-round result for Cooler Master. So thermal performance of the Atmos is excellent. There's no denying it is a true high performance, all-in-one CPU cooler. Noise levels may be a touch on the loud side, but because it has such a wide range of PWM control, you can tune the fans down, as we saw in the 40 decibel test, to a reasonable noise level, and performance doesn't die off, which is one of the key things with a good CPU cooler. Installation process is very simple. Cooler Master's always tried to make the installation as simple as possible by keeping standard connections, so standard 4-pin PWM, standard ARGB connections. The Atmos seems to have taken it one step further. It was a really simple CPU cooler to install. I guess having the fans pre-installed to the radiator makes it a little quicker for certain users that don't need to change the orientation of the fans, but just installing the block to the CPU, installing standoffs, because it retains the AMD backplate, it is a really simple and straightforward installation process. It'd be difficult to get it wrong. I have had a slight play around with the Cooler Master MasterCTRL software. It seems okay, it's not too buggy. You can quite easily look at performance and temperatures, but I did run into a slight problem with the connectivity of the ARGB controller, and sometimes it lost connectivity and I wasn't able to use the ARGB control, but because the Atmos uses those standard connections, you can just connect it up to your motherboard or some other ARGB hub and control it that way anyway. So for me, that's not such a big deal, but it did seem to work fine with the Cooler Master Master Plus software, so it definitely seems like a software issue rather than any fault with the hardware. And this version of software I was using was a beta version, so hopefully in the final version these problems will be ironed out. In terms of the aesthetics, Cooler Master has got that pretty much spot on. RGB lighting effects on the fans look very good. There's no real light bleed around the hub where the RGB LEDs are. Sometimes with those opaque blades on the fans and the RGB LEDs, you sometimes get some really bad light bleed. Not on this cooler. It's really well diffused on the fans and on the CPU block. So overall, it's a really good high performance all-in-one CPU cooler. Maybe there might be one or two questions about the price. The guys in the US market are probably getting better value than us in the UK, but that is a bit of a theme in the UK at the moment. But if I had 160, 170 pounds to spend on a CPU cooler, it would be one that I'd consider. It's similarly priced to something like the EK Nucleus. It has similar features and similar performance. So if you are thinking of building, especially a Cooler Master themed system anytime in the future, this would be a good choice. I hope you enjoyed watching this review of the Cooler Master MasterLiquid 360 Atmos. Let me know what you think of the cooler in the comment section. If you have enjoyed the video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. And if you like what we do here at Kit Guru, you can always support us by heading over to the store and picking up some merch, or you could even subscribe to our Patreon. And as always, if you want to catch up on all the in-depth technical reviews, head over to the website.